Active Directory is one of the most important skills that any penetration tester must learn. In this video, I'm going to explain two different methods of attacking Active Directory, which are LLMNR and WPAD poisoning. The full and complete explanation for these two methods are available on our website on sunskytech.com. So let's just move on and have a look on LLMNR. So the word LLMNR actually stands for Link Local Multicast Name Resolution. What exactly does it do and how does it work? Let's just have a look on this picture and have an example to understand it. As you can see, on the left side we have the client, and on the right side we have the DNS server. So imagine that the client wants to get access to a shared folder called sec_team in this address. So the client will ask DNS server that, do you have the IP address of DC sec_team? And according to this reason, the DNS server has this shared folder and the records for it. It will say, yes, of course, I have it. To gain access, you will receive a challenge to encrypt. So the DNS server will send a challenge to the client in order to be encrypted by the client. And also the DNS server says to the client that you have to send this challenge, this encrypted challenge, to me along with your username and hash password. If your credentials were okay, then you can get access to this shared folder. So in this case, the client will send the encrypted challenge and also the username and hash password to DNS server. That's the normal scenario. But what happens if the client mistakenly typed DCSec instead of sec_team? So imagine that the client says, do you have the IP address of this shared folder sec? The DNS server unfortunately doesn't have any information about this shared folder because such thing doesn't exist. And it says, no, ask others. In this time and in this stage, the LLMNR protocol comes to play. And the LLMNR protocol allows the client, in order to send broadcast query and ask others if they know the IP address of this shared folder. So the client says, anybody knows the IP address of this shared folder sec? So in this case, the danger is actually in this step, in step 4, when the hacker says that, yes, I know, actually I am the server that has this shared folder. But if you want to get access to this shared folder, you have to give me your credentials. So like before, you have to send me that encrypted challenge that I will send you, and you have to send me your username plus hash password. So in this case, the client will send its encrypted challenge, username, and hash password to the hacker, and the hacker can easily crack the password. So that is actually LLMNR poisoning. But let's just go further and have a look on WPAD too. So let's just have another example here. Like before, we have the client on the left side, and this time we have the DHCP server on the right side. So in a normal scenario, the client will send a DHCP request to the DHCP server, and the DHCP server will answer with giving IP address, subnet mask, IP of DNS, gateway, and might give WPAD URL to the client. If you do not know what is exactly WPAD URL, actually that's a URL that belongs to the proxy server. In some networks, we might have a proxy server, and in this scenario, we have actually a proxy server on the right side, as you can see. So the DHCP server is responsible to send the URL of this proxy server to the client in the configuration information. So the client gets that WPAD URL, and it will get connected to the proxy server. That's the normal scenario. But what exactly is WPAD poisoning? Let's just have a look on the next picture. So here we have the similar scenario, but we have the client on the left side and the client also sends a DHCP request, but there is a big difference. On the right side, we do not have the DHCP server. Instead, we have the attacker. So in this scenario, the attacker pretends to be the DHCP server. And the attacker actually gets the DHCP request, captures that, and the attacker will send the IP address, subnet, IP of DNS, and gateway. These information might be correct, but the attacker will also send fake WPAD URL in WPAD poisoning attack. So the client will get connected to the fake proxy server. In this scenario, there is actually no proxy server, no authenticated proxy server. It's just a machine that belongs to the attacker. So in this case, all of the information of the client will be monitored by the attacker because the information will be sent from the client to the fake proxy server. The attacker will monitor it and might manipulate it. And yes, that is WPAD poisoning. But let's just go to our practical lab and perform LLMNR poisoning. Now, the first thing that we have to do in order to perform LLMNR poisoning is running a command which is related to responder tool. This tool will listen for the traffic of the network and will capture our desired traffic. So here in front of -I, which stands for interface, I type the name of the interface that I'm connected to, and we have -V, which means that it's going to be verbose. It will give us detailed information. D, which actually perform LLMNR poisoning, and we have also capital P, which will enforce the anti-LLM authentication. So instead of this command will help us to do LLMNR poisoning. Instead of running this command, we could delete -P and also type W instead of this. If we type such a thing, we will get LLMNR poisoning plus WPAD poisoning. So in this case, W stands for WPAD, and the WPAD server will be turned on in this scenario. But now we're just only going to perform LLMNR poisoning, so I'm just going to type capital P and hit enter. As you can see here, we have the poisoners, and we can see that LLMNR poisoner is turned on. Great. Now we have also the servers. It says WPAD proxy is off because we're not doing WPAD poisoning. Great. Now that we have gotten such thing, let's just look at our client side. As you can see, I have two virtual boxes here. The left one is my server, and also the right one is the client one, so the workstation. Now, let's just imagine that I want to get connected to a shared folder, here in this case called Hydra-DC, such a thing like that. But the name of the shared folder is hack.me, but instead of hack.me, I'm just going to just hit enter. With HA, for example, I tried to show that I just typed it with mistake or mistakenly, or maybe it's just better to type hack, so maybe it will work. So here, what happens in the background is you can see, first of all, here it says Windows cannot access to this shared folder because such a thing doesn't exist. But what happens in the background, the responder takes the traffic, it will listen to the traffic, and according to LLMNR protocol, the client sends these question that anybody knows this wrong share folder that I have just typed mistakenly, and the attacker, which is actually in this case us, it will capture that traffic, and it will also capture the password, the hash password. It says, yes, I know I am that hack shared folder, and please give us your credential. So here we have NTLM video username, Marvel F Castle, that was the username that we got. We also got the password hash. So that is the hash that we have gotten. Great. Now what we can do, we can just copy this and Now I'm going to hit Control C, and I'm going to create a text that's called, we can call it LLMNR.txt. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to paste that hash here. Great. Control X, Y, and I can also show you how does it look like? So that's my hash password. Great. Now what we can do, we can use Hashcat in order to crack this hash. And for Hashcat, we have to use a switch that's called -m, and this switch, it will tell Hashcat that what kind of hash are we going to crack. It is LLMNR authentication. So for the LLMNR authentication, the related code is 5600. So that's the number that we have to type in front of -m, which tells the type of the hash to Hashcat. Then we have to just mention where is the hash password, which is in LLMNR.txt. We have to give the password list. The password is easy, so we can just use rawq.txt in this case in order to crack it. So that's in user, share, word lists, and rawq.txt. That's it. So I'm going to hit enter, and as you can see here, Hashcat has done its task successfully. Great. And you can see that in front of the hash we have the password 1. So that was the password. But what we can do is a little bit better to do, is actually repeat the command, but this time use --show. This will help us to just get the password, and we do not have to look at those amount of different information. That's password 1. Great. We have successfully done our LLMNR poisoning, gotten the hash, cracked with Hashcat, and that's it. So I hope that you have enjoyed the video.